great parents. Welcome. Welcome to Brookline High School. We are glad you are here tonight. And I know it may have taken a little longer to get parking and the rain could have deterred you from coming here. Thank you very much for coming to this really important night that I think is going to be very informative for you. I'm Deborah Holman, and I'm the new headmaster of Brookline High School. I started my job here, thank you. I started my job here last summer. I have had a wonderful entry year, and I still introduce myself as the new headmaster of Brookline High, although the high school students recently have started telling me, Ms. Holman, stop doing that. You're not new anymore. So they see me as the old headmaster who's been here. I still feel very new. So a little bit about me. I have had a 20-year career in education. I started as a history teacher. My experience teaching high school history has been in public schools and international schools. I have taught at international schools in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia, American international schools, and an American international school in Bangkok, Thailand. My public school, Massachusetts career was mostly spent as a history teacher and then vice principal next door at Newton North High School. And that's where I was as vice principal before I came to Brookline High last year. I am very happy to be at BHS, and I've fully become a Brookline High School warrior, which I am always having to convince the students that I am now a warrior. I am no longer a Newton North Tiger, our big rival. I think I have them convinced. So, my first impressions of the school, let me share those because, like me, many of you are going to come to the high school this fall for the first time. My first impressions of the school are really wonderful. There is an amazing, dedicated, and engaged faculty here. Wonderful adults in all departments, in all support services, in all programs that are really ready and committed to children, to teenagers, and to the learning at this place. So the faculty has been terrific. My first impression is that the students are very engaged here, that they get excited about what they learn, not every day, not every minute, but they are engaged in the learning. And that my impression is wonderfully supportive parents, which we experience in lots of different ways daily and organizationally through the PTO, which I'm sure you know well from your KA school. Other first impressions, there's a really amazing, diverse, robust course selection, course offerings here at the high school that your students will be able to experience in the next 4 years. The extracurricular opportunities are terrific. The support activities or the support services that we have here in our guidance department, our strong special education department, with our social workers, with some of our alternative programs, are really focused on kids and making the life of kids at Brookline High School a great one. Other first impressions, there's a space for play at Brookline High School, which I've noticed. And I've noticed it because I'm not used to it, actually. And play, I won't go into detail, but play is an important part of learning. And so I really like that. There is a place for fun here at the high school, extracurriculars and curriculars. So I am really enjoying Brookline High School. For those of you who are hitting Brookline High School for the first time, I'm excited for your children and for you to experience this great place. Brookline High School has a number of really great mantras or mottos that we share with the students and we repeat to the students for all their 4 years here. And those mottos and mantras are a wonderful imprint brought to the school by my predecessor, the former headmaster. And they've had a great impact on the culture of this high school. Those mantras are, your students are going to start hearing them in September, but you're going to get a preview here. Bring your best self to school every day. Every day, and figure out what your best self is, because that's what we want to see. We say that to the kids. Hard work over time. We believe in hard work over time. So if you fail or you don't get the grade or the achievement or the learning that you want in the beginning, hard work over time will yield you more of the learning and what you want. It also means you can make mistakes, and over time, through hard work, you will learn and you will continue to achieve. A third mantra or motto is freedom and responsibility. At Brookline High School, we give the students a good amount of freedom compared to some other nearby high schools in terms of what they can do with their free block. Second semester, freshman year, students have open campus if they earn it through grades and behavior. Many and most do. So with their free blocks, they are able to manage their own time, go to the library, go to the cafeteria, study, take a walk around the block, and they have the responsibility to then be back on campus and of course in class. We treat the students like approaching adults, and we give them freedoms and expect them to behave responsibly back for us. And I think that that has resulted in a really good student culture here at the school. In a way, I've added a fourth mantra since my tenure at Brookline High School, and I say this to the kids. I say, at Brookline High School, failure is not an option. That doesn't mean you can't make mistakes, and you can't fail a test or mess up in a class. It means you need to engage in the supports and use the supports here and the great adults and the teachers to help you build back from mistakes or from places where you feel like you fall short. But there are so many great supports in the guidance department, with the social workers, with wonderful teachers who will spend extra time with you, that failure really needs to not be an option for our students here. All right? All right, parents, raise your hand right now if this is your first rising ninth grader to go to the high school. Raise your hand if this is your first high schooler. That's a lot of people. Look around, okay? All right, now raise your hand if this is your second, third, fourth, or fifth. Raise your hand. Keep your hands up. I want all you first-timers to look at who has their hands up. These people are your resources next year, in addition to us at the high school. So thank you. Please use each other, peers, parents, as resources. They know a lot about this high school too. All right, so our goal in the next many months before September is to support you and your child in the transition to the high school. And we have a number of curriculum nights, as you know, this being the first one. The other nights are listed up behind me on the projection. Next week, March 7th, we will host a Visual and Performing Arts Career and Tech Education Night, which will be housed here and also in our wonderful UAB building, Unified Arts building, where we'll have open studios for the visual arts and career and tech ed labs. We will have some presentations by our different dance, drama, and music staff and students. And so you'll get a sense of elective offerings, creative elective offerings from those very strong programs. March 12th, you're invited back here for a panel discussion of life at Brookline High School. The best part of that, I think, is that we're going to have some students, different ages, who will be able to talk about what it's like to be a student at Brookline High. Your students are invited to that also. Okay, and March 26th, Interscholastic Athletics Night. So if your child is interested in competitive sports, we have a wide variety of varsity, junior varsity, freshman sports. Please come to that one. Pete Rittenberg, our Director of Athletics, will be there for that. Other things that we do to make your child's landing a soft landing here at the high school is on the first day of school, there are these wonderful traditions that we do for the ninth graders, where the faculty clap them in from Cypress Field into our beautiful quadrangle, and we have kind of a convocation ceremony to start their high school career. I had never experienced something like that at a high school, and I experienced it for the first time in September, and it was really quite moving in many ways. So we have we're planning on day-long activities where just the ninth graders are here at the school, so without the distractions and the crowd of the 10th, 11th, and 12th graders, that first day of school, they can get to know the school. So we're working on that, and we have some district calendar glitches that we're trying to work out, but that is a good day for the ninth graders. Once the students are here, we have an advisory program that 9th through 12th graders are involved in once a week, where they get all their questions answered about being a student at Brookline High School. They get in advisory, there's a curriculum that talks to them about courses, about after school work, about how to approach your teacher, about how to find your guidance counselor. They get informed about that throughout the first semester. There's also a junior mentor program. We've got 11th grade juniors who are associated with each advisory, and those juniors really take care of the ninth grade groups in terms of doing student-to-student advice on how to navigate Brookline High School. So, Other things that we do, which I want to take a look at for parents to give you a soft landing, so to speak, at Brookline High School. I want to talk a little bit about ways that parents can get involved in the high school. And I want to talk about, first I'll talk about the Brookline High School 21st Century Fund. This is a wonderful institution that my predecessor and the faculty at the high school started over 10 years ago. The 21st Century Fund is a fundraising arm of the school. They do lots of fundraising from the community and from parents. They have an annual gala which honors a Brookline resident or a Brookline High School graduate. And what they are fundraising for is to fund innovative, creative projects and teaching approaches at the high school. And we benefit, all students benefit from these projects. For example, they have funded, the 21st Century Fund has funded our advisory program for many years. The district is now adopting funding of that program. Other things that they have funded are really unique and innovative courses, such as Global Leadership Academy, Engineering by Design, an Arts Infusion program. They have funded, years ago they initiated funding on our African American Scholars Program, which is now a very successful, robust program, which is African American Scholars and Latino Scholars Program, and the funding for that has been adopted by the district. So, here's an invitation for all of you from the 21st Century Fund. They are holding a wine and cheese coming up April 3rd, 7 p.m. It's a little hard to read, but on the right side, it says that this is for you all, for parents of rising ninth graders. No obligation. This is a great way to learn about the fund. There will be some teachers who are leading our different innovative 21st Century Fund courses. They'll be at this event, and they will talk firsthand about their courses that they're offering to our students. This is hosted by, if you can see there, Kate and Steve Patterson. They are wonderful hosts. You are welcome to join us for that and get an introduction to some of your peers across town, parent peers, and get an introduction to the high school and the fund, so please consider that. So that's the 21st Century Fund. Another institution I would like to mention and thank ultimately, along with the 21st Century Fund, is the Brookline Education Foundation. You know them from your experience in K-8. They have generously funded many different professional development opportunities for our faculty and staff, and we really, as a headmaster, I really appreciate the BEF. So for those of you who have been involved in it, thank you. And the high school benefits from BEF grants also and will continue to do so. And then, if you can see on the far right there, it says PTO, the amazing, amazing Brookline High School PTO, which we love. And I would like to hand the microphone over to our PTO president, Nancy Pronovost.
Thank you. Yeah, my name is Nancy Pronovost. I also have an incoming ninth grader next year. I also have a senior and a sophomore, so I feel like I'm a professional PTO person at this point. The purpose of the PTO is similar as in the elementary schools. It's really to facilitate communication between you and the school. So towards that end, we have monthly meetings. Not about fundraising, but about topics of interest and issues that are happening at the school. And the other thing is we have a lot of opportunity for volunteerism. So if you'd like to get involved at the high school, then contact us. The PTO is connected to the BHS website, and you can just, my personal email is up there, and you can contact us if you'd like to become involved. We're also passing around the clipboards with your names and email addresses, and if you fill that out, then we will update you and put you on our email list. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Nancy, and thank you for all the parent support. Okay, moving on with a little bit more information tonight, and then we're going to launch you into different places in the school so you can actually meet and hear from the curriculum coordinators, our department heads. Before we do that, I'd like to make one comment about course selection for your rising ninth grader. You and the 8th grade counselors with your student are now involved in choosing courses for 9th grade at Brookline High School. I saw some of you brought in your Brookline High School course catalogs that Hal Mason, our assistant principal, has assembled with the department heads. What I need to say to you is the main thing we recommend you doing and watching when you're choosing courses is to choose and create a balanced course selection collection for your student. So academic courses as well as an elective, as well as some breathing space for your student in 9th grade, a study hall, a free block where they can pause and catch their breath. That's one thing that we really emphasize here and really need to emphasize to the parents to carry that message to the students in terms of choosing a very balanced course selection, course menu for 9th grade. What you choose this spring, although it's not utterly set in stone, it really is what your student will be taking in the fall. And I say that because according to what your students and our 9th, 10th, and 11th grade students choose right now for courses is how I, of course, commit staffing. So X number of Spanish courses, X number of elective courses, X number of art courses. My commitments of staffing are dependent upon what your students choose. So changes in the schedule, changes in courses in the fall become less possible because we've already committed faculty members. And in increasingly tight budget times, there's less wiggle room. Now, if we've made a mistake with your child's schedule or your child is clearly in the wrong level of course, we fix those things, okay? But just think carefully and study our course catalog, please, and get into conversations with your student if they'll let you do that in terms of what they choose and getting good balance, okay? All right. I would like to introduce a couple of key people here at the high school. I'd like to introduce the person who really runs this institution and keeps everything running on time and keeps course handbooks in your hands and our hands, and that is the assistant headmaster, Hal Mason. I'd like him to introduce himself a bit.
Thank you, new Headmaster Holman. Yes, she says that I run things. This being Brookline, what I really run is parking. Most of my time really is dealing with parking and parking passes and illegal parking and whatnot. What I do run, though, is the facility and the building and the schedules and all sorts of fun things like that. More importantly for you tonight, you know this already, you've heard this, is maybe why you live in Brookline to begin with. This is an amazing place. I've worked in many schools in my career, and I've never seen a school that's so healthy and has such a great environment. It really is a special place. There are a lot of schools that have all the same constituent parts, perhaps, that Brookline High School has, but none of them equal in total what is here. A large, diverse, amazing place that is so healthy. And when you go into a classroom and when your sons and daughters talk to you about what they're doing in their classrooms, you're going to be amazed. And when they talk to you about their friends and what's happening all around them and the intellectual life of the school, the social life of the school, the cultural life of everything that's going on around them, you're going to be saying, certainly if you're not saying this for other reasons, I'd really like to be in that school. I'd really like to be back in high school again. And for us that work here, we feel the same way. We're so happy to be here every day, and we welcome your sons and daughters here for next year. Thanks.
Thank you. All right, I would like to introduce our new coordinator of guidance. So the department head of guidance, he started with me last summer, Lenny Libenzon.
Thank you. My name is Lenny Libenzon. I have a slight Russian accent, those of you who can detect it. I started this year. Before that, I was at Newton South for 10 years. That's different from Newton North. I'm happy to be here. I actually went here for a year when I just arrived to the United States. So it's sort of my alma mater. And I'll be seeing you a lot. I participate in a lot of the parent nights that PTO organizes, and then I organize several parent nights. Your child will have a guidance counselor who will stay with him or her for all 4 years, hopefully. And the guidance counselor is really the point person for most concerns. Any change in courses, or any mental health concerns, or teacher concerns, and then we'll help your kids go to college in about 4 years. So thank you very much, and welcome to Brookline High.
Okay, and I'd like to introduce the most important person, really, that is going to be in the lives of your children next September, and that is their class dean. Adrian Mims, Dr. Adrian Mims, is going to introduce himself and introduce his role and his staff's role for the 9th graders.
Wow, the most important person. You raised the bar here. Well, I have the distinct honor and privilege to serve you and your children next year as the Dean for grades 9 and 11. So I'm looking forward to that. And again, wow, it was a nice turnout. Thanks for coming out this evening. I'm going to be very brief in my remarks. I'm just curious. I'm going to ask you to raise your hands too, because after all, you are in a school, right? Okay. So I'm curious, how many of you attended Brookline High School? Raise your hands. Okay. All right. Keep your hands up if you didn't graduate. Okay, good. I'm glad you have a good sense of humor, okay? We gotta have fun here. All right, well, the reason why I asked that question is because all of you took different paths here, okay? Those of you who attended Brookline High School, and some of you didn't attend Brookline High School. Some of you took honors level classes when you were in school. Some of you didn't, all right? You turned out just fine, I hope. Some of you may have been awkward. Some of you may have been like me and looked awkward. You turned out just fine. So here's the thing. You're gonna go around, you're gonna meet with some very experienced educators, the coordinators of the departments, and they're gonna talk to you about the robust curricula that exists here at Brookline High School, okay? And in these conversations, you're gonna hear a lot of different things. One of the things you may hear them talk about different levels. You may hear them talk about an honors level class or an advanced level class, all right? And that's one of the things that makes Brookline great. We have a lot of different courses that we offer. So one of my roles here as Dean of Students, I give advice to parents too. So as you're listening to the coordinators, okay, and you're thinking about, your child's schedule, okay, don't do this. Don't say, wow, I wish I had taken that class. Okay, don't make your decisions off of that. Also, stop yourself if you say, wow, I wonder what would Harvard think about this on my child's transcript. Okay? We all know Harvard only has so many seats, as well as all the Ivy schools, all right? Also, stop yourself if you're saying, you know what? My oldest child took advanced math. Please recognize that all of your children are different, and you know your child better than anyone. And, every single child is different, and every child develops at a different rate of speed, okay? But one of the things that makes Brookline High School a great place is that we recognize that and we embrace that. So in closing, I just want to read to you just a brief quote. To find out what one is fitted to do and to secure an opportunity to do it is the key to happiness. You know who said that? Pretty smart man named John Dewey, okay? And isn't that what everyone wants for his or her child? To be happy, to have happiness. And I believe your child is in the best place to receive that happiness. Thank you.
Thank you, Adrian. Okay, everybody, you have in your hands a sheet that's blue or pink or yellow, and it has listed on it the curriculum coordinators' names. We'd like you to follow the particular schedule that is on the list. Auditorium will stay here. I'm going to introduce the department heads in a minute. Auditorium here, MLK room is down the hallway to the front of the building and down the stairs. And the third area is cafeteria, which is directly below us. So you'll rotate a bit for these presentations. Now, the following people are those who you're going to meet with. This is going to be better than the Emmys Sunday night, this introduction right now. So when I introduce these people, imagine it's like the Academy Awards coming up. All right? All right, so our department heads, our curriculum coordinators, let's start with English. Mary Birchinall. Mary, come on up here. All the way up. Okay. For our visual arts department chair, Alicia Mitchell. Career and Technical Education Department, Arnie Marcus. Our Science Department, Ed Weiser. Our Performing Arts Department, Lynn Modell. She's a dancer, could you tell? Our World Language Department is led by Agnes Alberola. Say something in French, Agnes.
Bonsoir.
Our Math Department head is Josh Paris. Our Special Education Department, who had an 8th grade parent night last month, they are here tonight. I'd like to introduce our Director of High School Special Education, Sarah Orloff. And our Curriculum Coordinator, Jim Henry. And for our Health and Fitness Department, Teddy Jacobs. And our department head of social studies, which is my background, he is not here tonight. Mary Birchinall will represent for him. His name is Gary Schiffman, and he is actually leading a group of 10 kids on an annual trip, 2-week trip to Cambodia, to our sister school in Cambodia, an incredible trip. So you'll hear about the social studies department when you're meeting with English with Mary Birchinall. So, all right. Great. If you are starting out in the auditorium, you can stay here. We're only a little bit off time, so maybe we extend everything by 5 minutes. Department heads, why don't you do that, okay? Welcome to Brookline High School. Have a wonderful night.
So welcome everybody. Again, I'm Teddy Jacobs, a coordinator, actually K through 12 of health and physical education, or as it's known at the high school, health and fitness. So it's nice to see some familiar faces from the elementary days. So health and fitness at the high school, different than your K-8 experience, is taught by one teacher for both the health and the fitness component. The program is designed to give kids, students, the skills and knowledge that will help them make healthy choices for a lifetime. That's kind of the big goal out there. For freshman year, they are all required to take our what's known as HFO 900, Integrated Health and Fitness course. It meets for 1 semester, 4 days a week. And you could be actually quite helpful if you could make sure in the fall that you see that on their schedule for one semester or the other. Again, that would help us with the big scheduling picture. But so it's an integrated model with 2 blocks per week of classroom health type content and 2 blocks per week of physical activity. And I'll explain more. Really what we emphasize through this course is helping them understand the choices and the consequences of those choices throughout each content unit. But regardless of the actual content that we're teaching, the skills that they're learning and practicing through all these different content areas is what's really vital, really important for them. So for example, refusal skills, listening, communication, coping, decision-making, goal setting, media literacy. Those kinds of skills are embedded in nearly every unit throughout health. So more specifically, the content areas, they begin with CPR. We certify them through the American Heart Association. And nearly all students complete that certification with us. We have a short nutrition unit. As you know, they've had some nutrition in 7th and 8th grade, and it's culminating with us. Most recently, we've started to use an app called MyFitnessPal, where the kids take a look at what they're eating over 3 days' time and try to make some small change in their behavior around nutrition. And we also cover something called superfoods and diseases that could result from poor nutrition. The Substance Awareness Violence Prevention Program, we're really fortunate to have great support here with our AWARE officers, similar idea to what we have in the elementary school. We also have a substance abuse violence prevention program here that supports that unit, and peer leaders, so some of the older kids that come into our classes and help us. But in that unit, again, they're practicing skills to resist pressure, to reduce, hopefully, engagement in risk behaviors, or at least delay those behaviors. We use a research-based curriculum. It's called Class Action, and so they're actually involved in some role plays as a class, where there's judges and a jury and a case that they work on. We've actually very recently, today, been trained on a new curriculum called Break Free from Depression, and we're going to begin to implement that in our class. It's presented to us from Children's Hospital. It's a 4-class, or in our case, probably 1 long block and 2 short curriculum, which I think will address some of our mental health needs really well. So all that said, I do want to say, since I have a parent audience here, that the research does tell us that you have the strongest influence on your child's behaviors around all these, what we call risk behaviors. And so many of our units will involve a homework assignment maybe, where it gives you a chance to engage in conversation with your student about these different areas. And so I encourage you to, kind of keep tuned in to what they're doing in their health class, and use it as a tool to start the conversation. Probably when you're in the car with them, right? So in their activity days, which again are 2 days a week, we have a bunch of different units that revolve. So adventure unit, we have a great facility here, we're really lucky. We have a nice traverse wall. We have a boulder wall that literally sticks out into the gym. And we have some high ropes elements and climbing walls. But before they get to that, what might sound like scary stuff, they work together, they do group challenges, and they do a lot of team building activities. They're introduced to our fitness center and taught how to use the Nautilus machines properly, the free weights properly, and the cardiovascular machines. We also have heart rate monitors as a tool to help during the cardio phase of the class. They do a little bit of square and line dance, and we approach that really with the social aspect in mind. So it's time to touch appropriately, it's time to look somebody in the eye and not down at our iPhone or our toes. So the kids actually end up having a great time in that unit. They're also introduced to yoga as kind of a stress reducer, and do some work on breathing and postures. And it's very introductory. It's a class they might decide to take a full semester with us later. We're also working on what we call common grade level assessment, so that all freshmen are exposed to information based on the book Spark, which is a book by John Rady, a clinical psychiatrist at Harvard Medical School. And they'll explore the connection between exercise, cardiovascular exercise, and brain performance. You may have heard a lot of work that's going on in the schools, and some of you would be familiar with our BEF grants and work we've been doing around that. So that pretty much wraps up what freshman year looks like in health and fitness. Please look at the course catalog after freshman year. There are a lot of wonderful courses and opportunities here for them at that point. And I do want to just add that there's opportunities for movement after school. So we run intramural programs Monday, Wednesday, Thursday from 3 to 4:30. We rotate seasonally what we offer. And that's an opportunity if they're not interested in the commitment required of an athletic team. And that pretty much wraps it for me. I encourage you to also come to the athletic night, March 26th, and hear more about that. Thank you.
I want also to tell you that at the end we'll have a few minutes, so if you have some questions, either for Teddy, Health and Fitness World Language, or for Lynn Model and Performing Arts, you'll have some opportunities. And of course, you have also all, I think, received a packet that has a little bit of a summary information that I encourage you to look at for each of the subject areas. And it has our email addresses, so if you have personal questions regarding your child, that would be the best way to handle it, so then we can set up a time and discuss it. So my name is Agnes Alberola. I'm the World Language Curriculum Coordinator for Brookline High, and sometimes it feels a little bit like being the head of the United Nations, because teachers in the department come from all over the world and speak many different languages. So as you probably know, if your child has told you, if your child comes to the Brookline public schools, we have 5 languages offered at the high school that you can take as a beginner, or you can continue with something that you're already engaged in. Those 5 languages are Chinese, Japanese, Spanish, French, and Latin. So many options that I think really make us a very unique high school. And the other thing that, of course, is very unique to Brookline is the diversity of the students that come to those classrooms. When I went to visit the 8th graders a few weeks back, I asked them to raise their hands if someone in their family or in their neighborhood spoke another language, and pretty much everybody up at their hands up, which I think is unique also to this part of the country and to Brookline in particular. So we all embrace languages and the learning of languages, and it's something that we want to continue at the high school, encourage and push in as many directions as they're interested in. So I'm going to give you a little bit of a few numbers, and if we have a chance, I'll quiz you at the end. Your children did really well, so I expect you will be fine as well. How many years do you need to graduate from the high school? How many years of the same language? You need 2 years in order to get a diploma from the high school. Now, most colleges will be interested in seeing that your children have taken at least 3 years of a language. And at this high school, about 95% of the students take a language every single year for 4 years. They don't do it because they have to, they do it because they love to, and because it's such an important, essential skill in today's world to acquire some fluency in a language. And of course, you can only do that through time. So here are some of those numbers. A question that is often asked is, can I take 2 languages? And it's a little bit more of a more complicated answer to that. It's possible, but it doesn't always work. We have about 20 students that are freshmen this year that are taking more than 1 language. But you have to look at the schedule very carefully with the guidance counselor. You have to make sure that your child will be able to take all their graduation requirements, with the electives and math and English and everything, without having problems later down the line to accomplish that. And then sometimes also there are some budget constraints, and if we need to hire another teacher for another section for people that are taking a second language, we would not do that. We would give the priority language, but not the second one. But I still encourage, if your child is passionate about language, to tell that guidance counselor and tell them which one would be their priority language. So in case we have to make that hard decision, we know which direction to go. So if you stepped into our classrooms, it probably would look different from what you experienced when you were learning a language, where it might have been more translation-based, more paper pencil, higher emphasis on learning verb tenses and being accurate about every little detail. We still care quite a bit about having students speak properly and write properly, but our first and main objective is that they be able to communicate. We really feel like it's a failure of our system if students leave the high school and are unable to communicate with people of the language that they've been studying. So if you walked in the classroom, you would be hearing the teacher speaking in the target language, students doing the same or being encouraged to do the same. They would be working in pairs or in groups. Some might be doing some play acting. Like today when I was walking through classrooms, they were doing, in the Chinese class, they were doing some bartering. When I walked into a Spanish class, they were discussing political issues in Colombia. You get a whole variety of experiences, from really playful to a deeper discussion that you can get into. And we have access to a lot of technology. We have a language lab. We have TVs and projection ability in all the classrooms, so we can really bring the outside world inside the classrooms, which is also quite a change from the way things were 20 years ago when we did not have that. So in terms of making decisions for where to go next year, what course to take, I would say if your child is continuing with a language that they're already engaged in, then you really should pay attention to what the teacher is recommending, because they have a lot of experience with placement here, and they know what's going to be a successful experience for your child. In an advanced class, you might expect a lot of independent-like work, a lot of presentation in front of the class. The kind of child that I think does well there is someone who's really happy to stand in front of a group and speak, and doesn't need a lot of repetition to remember words. And then we have standard classes that have smaller size and where you get a little bit more one-on-one and more repetition. And then the honors classes are sort of in between those two approaches. So think about what would work, what would make it a successful experience. And one great thing about here is we don't like to keep kids in the same track if they're ready to move on and take on other challenges. So at this time of the year, for example, we're putting together some special action plans for students who now feel ready to change levels to make it a successful experience, so they can bridge those maybe gaps here and there that they have. And I think that's going to wrap it all. I think I'm probably a good example of how successful the program is here. As you have noticed, I've been spending so much time in the department that now I've acquired a French accent, so you can maybe expect the same. Thank you very much.
So I'm Lynn Modell. I'm the coordinator of performing arts, which covers the disciplines of music, drama, and dance. We have instrumental music and choral music. Brookline Access Television recently created a video for us that gives you an idea of what goes on in the classrooms, and you get to hear the students speak about their classes. So I think before I say anything else, I think we'll just watch that video. And if it doesn't work, I'll just act out every segment. We were so close. I would like to take this opportunity to give you my personal feelings about technology. and the wonders of it, and yet every time I go to use it, it doesn't work. So one of the wonderful things about performing arts at the high school is we have great facilities. We have 2 dance studios. I think that is unheard of in any other public high school in Massachusetts. One studio is twice as large as the other, and it has a real dance floor with some airspace between the wood pieces. No, I don't mean this way, I mean this. Anyways, it's good for jumping. And we have a black box theater, we have the auditorium. Isaac, you're still working on this? That'd be great. And we have a white box rehearsal space that all the disciplines can use. We have a room devoted just to choral music, a room devoted just to the concert band.
Jazz band is pretty unique, at least the one we have to the Brookline High School, because what we do is we attempt and try to, it's a really long process, to write our own arrangements and create our own music.
The whole process of creating a song, it's not like we just get sheet music and read it. So I think it really helps us grow as musicians. We also have to learn how to work together. We have to learn how to compromise.
My favorite part about the program is the people and how friendly and accepting everyone is and how much fun we can have together. And we're all really open and it's like a big family.
You must pay $31.50 or nothing, you got nothing, $31.50 or nothing.
My favorite part of the program is that we get to write, act, produce. Everything is just a great collaborative process between the students and our teachers. This program is really amazing and it helps you learn how to work with other kids and other people. And it really makes you think about who you are as a person and also what you want other people to see.
We collaborate to try to put together pieces for events at the school and events after school, just to try to teach students not only about like what we think they should be doing, but to try to entertain them as well.
There's a high level of performance in this class in terms of we perform publicly several times throughout the year. So it's a great time, the students have a lot of fun, I have a lot of fun, and it's just a great opportunity here at the high school.
Choreography class, and it's basically where you come up with your own movement and you're sort of guided through each stage of choreographing movement, and it's a very bonding class and you become close with all your classmates.
I'd say my favorite thing is just how much you learn in a year. It's not just a standard class where you come in and learn technique. You're really given a lot of freedom to create your own movement, not just in this choreography class, but other just basic dance classes. And also, you really get close with a lot of new people, make a lot of friends, and then the teachers are the same teachers that you're going to have later on in other classes, so that's cool, you can create connections.
Everything good is worth seeing twice. I would just like to emphasize that what's really wonderful about all the elective programs at the high school It gives your children the opportunity to be in classes with students other than the ones who are exactly their age. The elective programs, anyone, you can have seniors mixed with freshmen, sophomores, juniors, and I think that's a really wonderful learning experience for freshmen to be in classes with students older, to develop friendships with kids who are not in their grade. It's a good experience. And I think our time is up, so now we take questions.
I didn't quiz you, so how many years do you need to graduate by a show of hands? All right, how many colleges, how many do they like? Okay, how many years really should your child take? Well, thank you. Do you have questions? Yes.
There are freshman teams, so yeah, they have a required course with health and fitness, and then they can also participate in the athletic team. Yes.
What is the typical breakdown of number of students in your different languages?
Typical breakdown?
Yeah.
We have about, about 50% of students take Spanish. About, I don't have the exact number in my mind, but let's say 15% French, maybe 7% Chinese, 7% Japanese, 7% Latin, something like that.
Yeah. So our beginner class is truly for people who are coming in without any prior experience in K-8?
Yes, so the question is about if you want to begin a language here. Actually, there's a sheet here that describes the different options. Yes, they are for students who've never taken the language, and we have so French one, Chinese one, Japanese one, Latin one, and with Spanish we have two options. One is for students who are already familiar about learning languages and want to start Spanish, and it's called Beginning Spanish 1 and 2. So they get 2 years in one, basically a grade 7, 8 experience in 1 year, and it's accelerated. And then we have a Beginning Spanish 1 class that has 2 teachers, a small class size, where we help students learn a language who haven't had that opportunity yet in any language. All right.
Do we need to let them go?
I don't know. Mr. Mason, are we going to get a time to let us know when it's time or not? Time. Sorry. This is time to move. Yeah.
There's a performing arts handbook just outside the door. It has, in addition to the courses, any audition information and a calendar of all of our performances.
Hey, hi. I'm the Visual Arts Coordinator. My name is Alicia Mitchell. I hope that you saw all the visuals I brought with me in the student gallery on the second floor right outside the auditorium. It's called the Art Space Gallery. It's always, well, not always, there's a few days here and there when it's not, but it's generally full of fantastic things that students make. And it's great to have the gallery dedicated completely to the art for the students. It's a great oasis for all of us in the building to walk through each day. Many of you know, or you may not know, but all the visual arts classes are held in the UAB, which is the Unified Arts Building, and it's all the way down Tappan Street. That's what we hear. It's a great place. If you can't find it, it's right next to the T-Staff. So, the visual arts classes that your students have been taking in the elementary school. I should mention, by the way, that I'm the K-12 coordinator, and in my time in Brookline, I've taught students at Runkle School, Lawrence School, and Pierce School. And there's nothing more fun for me to encounter who was once 5 years old in my class, and now a freshman. And I say, "You look familiar." And there are a number of responses. "Yes, I remember you." That's the good one. And then it's like, "Oh no, not me." This is it. Like, "Really? You think you know me?" "I don't remember." So, anyway, it's a lot of fun, and after they're in the building for a while and they've gotten comfortable there because it is a great place to come and practically live, we can reminisce nicely about, yeah, you know, when you were 16 inches shorter, you were a lot different. So it's a fun thing for me to see them on this part of their journey, because it is a journey, of course. On your document, in the packet somewhere, I made a list of the visual arts courses that are available for freshmen. And I made mine in color. So the part that I really wanted to jump out was a white class listing called Drawing for Understanding Field Science. It looks a lot better with a dark blue background. It really does pop. But we didn't print in color. That's okay. And this is our only new course. And it's observational drawing for scientific study. And it's a course that's the way we should be thinking about school. It's blending science and art. They are learning to do careful observation for scientific study, and they're seeing how the questions of science can inform their artistic practice. They will be in the field. They will use their drawings to create documents that are about the science that they're studying, and they will use it as inspiration for other types of art. So it's a very exciting course, and we hope lots of kids who like both art and science will give it a try. So next week, I didn't say this yet, right? No. Next week is the open house for you and your students. The open house is completely different than this night. There will be no one talking but for 5 minutes to tell you what's going to happen. And it's meant to have your students go through all the elective spaces. Students will be there working on their work. Teachers will be there to talk to you as you go through. And it's meant to give our students inspiration and curiosity. Most of you have students who have one art room. At Brookline High School, we have one art room for each discipline. We have a painting studio, a drawing studio, ceramic studio. Just think about that. That's inspirational in itself. Everything that's happening in the space is one material. It's very, very exciting. We have a television studio. The students make their own TV show. We have documentary filmmaking. We have digital and black and white photography. Those are some of the things they don't have in the elementary school. As an elementary school art teacher, we do a fine job, by the way. Up here, they have it 4 times a week. We have it once a week. So it's a very different experience for them when they come here. This is why we have the night. We want them to come, go through all these spaces, and imagine themselves there. We hope they come with an open mind, not saying, I'm coming, I want to see the drawing studio because I'm taking drawing, and then I want to go home. We want them to go everywhere and find something they might not know they know how to do. And that's really what the night is for. I hope you all come. You will be guided by junior and senior students. You will see the visual arts spaces, all the career and tech ed spaces, and all the performing arts spaces. It's a very exciting night for your students. I've been here for a while, and when the 8th graders come up that night, most of you will be holding your cell phone saying, where are you? How did you get away from me? Right? It's really quite fun. And we love our work in the visual arts, and we love to make things, and we love to create. And we're proud of what we make. But really what's really special about the arts programs, and really important for even those kids who don't think they want to do it, it's the making. It's what they're learning while they're doing it. It's not really what they make. They will get better with practice. How many of you think you do not know how to draw? Everybody can draw. You just need to practice. And that's what we do with them. We don't care what they know or feel they can do. We can help them learn to do anything they want in the visual arts. So when I was thinking about tonight, I thought, what am I going to talk about other than just the courses, and I came across an article just recently called A Recipe for Artful Schooling. And it talks a little bit about the other part of why the arts are so important. The thinking part. What they do in order to make what they make, and what they get from it. On my sheet, I left you, I took some notes on the article and I put them on the sheet. But really, you can't get anyone to create or make new connections or learn from experience unless they're motivated, unless they feel compelled to learn themselves. And that we are very good at in the arts. We do a lot of work around that. And so for that experience alone, they should be in the arts classes. If you want to get a great idea, first get a lot of ideas. This drives them crazy when we say that. But I have an idea. And we spend a lot of time saying, you must have more ideas to know that that's your best idea. That's the kind of work we do with the students. And they really do come a long way. We celebrate the student that comes up with a completely different answer than, I never thought of that. And they do not feel funny about that. It's like, wow, that was not a thought that came across my mind. And they get to share that, and they get to see how they can solve problems and take different paths and come up with a great solution. The other thing that's really different about the visual arts classes here is that it's done by experience. So your 8th grader will be in classes with seniors or juniors. Depends. Who took this class? How much? What experience do you have? It's a great mix of kids. It is a little scary in those first critiques when you're an 8th grader and the senior is sitting next to you, but they get through it and they learn what they can do and what they know how to do, and we support them well. So we are down the street. We do a lot of good work with the students. They will love it. They will learn to make many things. They will bring home things that you should definitely frame, because a lot of people around here want to take them home and frame them. So they work hard. We love it. They enjoy it. And I expect that some of the students that you are here for tonight will become members of the UAB family, and I will be asking them, don't you have another class you're supposed to go to? Because every time I turn around, I see them creeping back in to do their work. I will tell you that because we have those open studios, we do let kids come back and work in their free time, a little bit of that freedom and responsibility. And they get great friendships there with kids that have like minds. So for drawing, I will just tell you that there's drawing, the regular drawing. There's Digital Design Studio, which is graphic design and Photoshop. So that's kind of drawing with a tool, and that tool is a computer. There's the drawing for understanding in field science. There's the comic book drawing for those students that just go on and on and on and on. So drawing comes in lots of forms. And ceramics is, who doesn't love ceramics? A pile of mud that becomes something else. And we have 4 levels of that across the years. They can take it all the time if that's what they find is their passion. It is exciting when you see a student get that first piece to stay in the middle of the wheel in ceramics. The wobble is gone and it's actually going up. So we get to enjoy that moment of discovery over and over and over again, and your students benefit so much from that. I hope you encourage them to take every single one of our classes in their 4 years. Some of them will fit in their schedule. Thank you. I hope I see you next week.
Okay, last lap, folks. Hang in there. I'm 2 people. I'm going to start out by being Gary Schiffman, who is actually in Cambodia. He's the chair of the Social Studies Department, and he has a letter in your packet. It's a 2-page letter. It's a great letter. I highly recommend that you read it. It talks about love, especially if you're thinking about if you're debating about levels, it's a great letter about that and about the social studies program. My page is the first page and really exclusively centers on if you are trying to choose between the two English courses, you'll find information there. So I'm not going to talk too much about the leveling thing. My experience is that how many of you are still debating about levels in either English or social studies? Okay, in every group it's been a handful, not as many as we generally think. So I point you to that information. Also, Hal Mason told me to tell you that all the packet information is on the BHS website. So if you either didn't get a packet or you need to refer to it again at some point, it's on the website. Okay, now, Gary Schiffman. 9th graders in social studies learn about pre-modern world history. We start with the origins of classical civilizations: China, India, the Greco-Roman Christian world, the Islamic world. Then study interactions through trade and warfare, then the emergence of scientific thinking and state building in the West. In subsequent years, students learn about modern world history in the 10th grade, U.S. history in the 11th grade, and then whatever they want. Psychology, legal studies, AP Gov, AP Euro, African American studies, philosophy, economics, global conflict, gender and society, Asian American studies, the meaning of life. So those are all the choices they get in the senior year, lots of choices. Everybody writes a research essay every year. We teach note-taking skills, how to frame research questions, how to evaluate and cite sources. And again, Gary, his contact information is in your packet. If you have any questions for him, you can email him, call him. He's as soon as he gets back from Cambodia, which will be in about a week. Okay, now I'm me. English department. My name is Mary Birch, and I've been at Brookline High School since 1990. Been here quite a long time now, it seems. I'd actually like to ask how many of you are BHS alums. I know Adrian Mims asked early. Okay, I'm coming back to you guys in a minute, so hang on. Anybody else? An alum in here? Okay, someone back there. Coming back to you, so wait for it. The rest of my talk is really, I'm going to give an overview of the English program, and then I just have some random things I'm going to talk about. So first I'll give you an overview of the English program at the high school. First of all students take 4 full years of English and must pass them to graduate. In 9th grade, it's basically, it's responding to literature and points of view. It's basically intro to English study at the high school level. You got a little of everything, how to do all the things that you need to do in high school. It's a little bit of a genre survey, a little bit of a smorgasbord of a lot of different kinds of things, introducing students to what they need to be thinking about. In 10th grade, it's world literature, and we've just added 2 new courses to the sophomore curriculum. So we have regular World Lit, Standard and Honors, and we've just added Future World Lit and Real World Lit, which are exciting courses. You can see the course descriptions in the catalog at the point where you get interested in sophomore year. In 11th grade, there's American Lit, and in 12th grade, again, anything you want. English Lit, European Lit, Stranger in a Strange Land, Fiction and Film, Public Speaking, Dramatic Lit, Biography and Autobiography, Craft of Writing. So lots of choices once you get to be a senior. We also offer Journalism 1 and 2. That's an elective that's separate from your English class. It does not count as your English class. And that's a course you get into by application after your freshman year. And it's the Journalism 1 and 2 courses that run the Sagamore newspaper at the school. We do teach grammar, especially in 9th and 10th grade. There's a junior paper in the junior year, which is a comparison paper, and a senior paper, the senior year, it's an 8 to 10 page paper where you have to do 500 pages of reading and write a paper, and it's evaluated by all senior English teachers using a common rubric. So alumni, what was your senior paper on? Can you remember? You didn't have a senior paper? Yes. You did? Yes. Can you remember? Uh-oh. But it was a crucial learning experience for you, wasn't it? It made you who you are today. I can tell. Do you remember your senior paper?
Yeah, it was something about Toni Morrison and Maya Angelou, Thomas Alva,
Okay. Very good. If it comes to you, oh, you didn't write one. They didn't have it? Because they've had it here for like 30 years. You couldn't have graduated longer ago than that. Really? All right. Anyway, moving on. So again, I'm not going to cover much more about levels because in the letters in the packet, it's covered it pretty much, and you probably heard a lot about levels tonight. I will just say, if you haven't heard this already, levels are not tracks. At any given year, you can shift a level up or down. It's not your destiny. It is just your choice for a particular year, and it may have a lot to do with how many hours you want to work in that particular class in that given year. So I just wanted to make that very clear. I also want to make very clear that there aren't standard level teachers and honors teachers. At this school, everybody teaches everybody. I'm currently teaching a standard level course, and so it's not separated so that this group teaches standard and this group teaches honors. Everybody does everything. Okay, what else do I want to? Oh, I would also encourage you to read Gary's letter. There's a part about the sweet spot in his letter, which is really good about finding the level of the right challenge. If he were here, he would talk about going to the gym. And of course, you wouldn't try to he wouldn't try to lift a 100-pound weight because it would be frustrating and he wouldn't be able to do it. On the other hand, if he lifted a 2-pound weight, it would be too easy and it wouldn't get him anywhere. So you have to find the right weight in the middle. He would talk about that, and that's what he says about challenge for courses. You need to find the challenge at the right level so it's not too heavy, it's not too light, and it's going to increase your muscle. Another question you might have, how much should you worry about your child at the high school? How many of you are really worried? How many of you are a little bit worried? There's a story in Michael Thompson's book about an anxious first-time mother who called her baby's pediatrician constantly, sometimes several times a day. After a couple of months of this, he asked her to come in. This is what he said: "Mrs. Smith, you have given birth to a child. You have opened yourself up to a lifetime of worry. You have to pace yourself." So I think as parents new to high school experience, that's all I can tell you is, of course, there are going to be worries, but just try to pace yourself. It's also going to be a time where your kids are going to want to be more and more and more independent, and that's hard for everyone. On the other hand, they also need to be watched over and caught when they fall and all those things. So that's what makes the time such a delicate time. We understand parent worry. We also understand that high school students need and want increasing independence. So I discourage you from standing over their shoulder as they're doing their homework and going, Don't do that. I don't think that's going to be helpful. What should you be prepared for? Well, one thing, and I don't say this to make you nervous, but I've taught freshmen many years, and I've noticed that freshmen, not all of them, but some of them, can be shocked by B's or even C's should that occur, because they say, "I've always been an A student in English. This can't be happening." So I just prepare you for that. There's some, and the 8th grade teachers are wonderful and prepare them very well, and I am not making any judgment about that, but in some cases they can seem, they have to adjust to new standards, new level of work, especially if they're in an honors class. That's going to maybe challenge them at a level they haven't been before, and they have to figure out how to juggle their demands and to do that hard work over time and not do that excellent work just once a week, but every day of the week. That's the hard part. So I just say that as something that you might run into. And I think in some cases you won't run into that at all. Anything you can do at home just to support the atmosphere that they can do work at home would be appreciated from us. That's not to say you say, "Sit down in front of me and do your work right now and I'm going to check every item." No, but to just create the kind of space where they feel comfortable and that there's not so much going on that they can't concentrate. Anything you can do, obviously, on your end is something that we appreciate. Also, please contact teachers if you're ever worried about anything. I often feel that parents are too reluctant to contact teachers. They don't want to bother them. Or I would say if there's something that's worrying you, please reach out to the teacher and contact them. I say that for the English department and the social studies department, and I'm sure you would say that as well. If you're worried, there's probably a good reason. So please call me or call the teacher. Another question you might have, what's with these teenagers anyway? I asked my husband, who's been teaching for 44 years, believe it or not, probably 45. I don't think I revised that this year. Your child is, and he said this. I said, what should I tell the 8th grade parents? He teaches 8th graders, and he said, tell them this. Your child is going to be a pain in the neck for the next 3 years. And I think that's pretty accurate, actually. Not for every single one, but for many. So maybe be a little bit prepared for that. At least this is if you've been here before, you've seen me show this before. But this is my daughter when she was in 8th grade. And my husband was taking the photograph. Do you see that look on your face? And if it had been me, the look would have been exactly the same, maybe worse. She resented our very existence on the planet. So I feel your pain. You have 8th graders, so you probably have someone who's looking at you like this at home. And I would say that here at the high school we understand, first of all, they're nicer to us than they are to you. That's the first thing you should know. And the second thing is we get it. We get teenagers. We know 9th grade is an on-ramp year. We're trying to get them acclimated to the high school and the demands here. We get all that. We're not like, we're going to break you down and build you up again. You know, that is not our philosophy. So, what else do I want? I don't know if, considering everything you've done for them, that's any consolation to hear that, but I hope they really are nicer to us than they are to you. Why do we do what we do? I would say because we like teenagers. Strangely, we come to a building of 1,700 plus teenagers every single day, and we're not insane. And we do it because we think teenagers are interesting and cool and full of life. Everything to them is either the best or the worst, right? They live in a world of like hyper extremes. And that's funny and it's exciting and it's cool to watch them changing. And I told a story earlier tonight in one of the sessions where a student that I taught freshman year, who's now a junior, came into my office today and took a seat and talked for 45 minutes because he had one question that he didn't actually even get to until he was already late for his next class. But what I was listening to him talk, and I thought, wow, has this kid grown up? He looks different. He's more poised. He's much less argumentative than he used to be. And it's just, it's cool to be in a profession where you're dealing with people at a time in their lives where the curve is so steep in terms of the mystery is just unfolding about who they're going to become. And it's really cool to see that. The 9th grade English team here at the high school is a really strong teaching team. They're intact, they're committed to what they do. They just worked on this amazing project this year all together, doing this common assessment and giving a common part of the exam together. They're a really great group. They will take incredibly good care of your children. And one more thing. Oh, and if they don't take good care of your children, I'd like to hear about it, actually. So call me, that's my job, right? I'm in charge of the English education of everyone at this school, and if it's not going the way you think it should be going, I really would like to know about it, because that's how I can do my job better. Last thing, what do we want students to learn before they graduate? First, do no harm. If they love reading already, we hope not to grill that out of them. You know, we want them to, and if they don't like reading yet, we hope to encourage them to do that by urging them to read the books that we like and the class is reading, and also to choose independent reading and learn to find the books that are right for them. I think most importantly, through reading, writing, and discussion, we want students to expand and hone the ways in which they think. It's really a think in the end about thinking. They're not all going to be English majors, and when that's not our goal, but they all have to be good thinkers, to be good citizens, to be the most expanded people that they can be. Expanded isn't the right word, but it's all I could come up with at 9 o'clock at night. I've been talking a lot about the nuts and bolts of English, but in closing, it is coming to the end, folks, so that's good. I want you to know that there's a lot more to it for me, and by extension, my English colleagues, Mr. Mason being one of them. In my own high school experience, writing and reading great literature was not just inspiring, it was absolutely transformational. My English classes helped me become not just more skilled, but better than I had been, exposed to wider possibilities, finer sensibilities, the beauties and subtleties of language. We are English teachers because our lives were changed by words. And we believe, as Wordsworth wrote in the Prelude, what we have loved, others will love, and we will show them how. Thank you for coming tonight. Appreciate it.